As it's Whiskey Sour Day, today in this video, as a non-whiskey drinker, I'm going to be making 5 whiskey sours, 5 different whiskey sours, and then I'm going to be kind of rating them and giving my opinion. Will these convert me into drinking whiskey? Now, for me personally, and even if I ever do events like this sour cocktail, whether it's whiskey, rum, brandy, Midori, amaretto, is not actually something I make that frequently. It's not a cocktail that I drink. It's not a cocktail that I order. But today I'm looking to be swayed. Will this convert me? Now, before I go any further, as a non-whiskey drinker that's kind of very, very recently gone back to generic cocktails from rum, I kind of didn't know where to kind of go for whiskey. I reached out to a couple of people and asked their opinions, but in the whole, I kind of looked for, you know, what, especially in the US, what kind of, and I'm talking bourbons and ryes, I'm not talking Scotch or Irish or anything like that, kind of what had not good reviews, but was well thought of in different threads and groups and stuff like that. And the two that I kind of settled on were these two. Rittenhouse Rye as sort of my rye. I think that's pretty much a really decent rye. And then I've gone for Evan Williams Bourbon. Now, the feedback from you guys, because obviously as we progress down this generic cocktail journey, we are going to be doing more whiskey cocktails. Have I done right? I didn't really want to go down the Jack Daniels and Jim Beam route. I have done like 4 or 5 years ago. I kind of want to move past that a little bit. So in the comments below, let me know. And we're not talking expensive whiskey. And also for you guys in the US, you have to think what's available here in the UK, okay? You're going to have infinitely more whiskies, ryes, bourbons than what we do here in the UK. Ours is going to be predominantly Scotch. You know, we do have a healthy bourbon and rye sort of listings, but I want you to think of that before you comment. So help me out. After I've done these bottles, what should I perhaps look at next? So if you've never made a whiskey sour before, then let me run you through the ingredients and show you how to make it. They're really easy, the sour cocktails. They're all identical ingredients. The whole family, you're just simply swapping your base ingredient. We're going for a whiskey today, so whiskey sours, so hence I've got this here. If you were going for a tequila, you'd swap that out for tequila. Gin, swap that for a gin. Midori, amaretto is probably the big one here in the UK, but you would swap that for amaretto. I do believe in the US, you would actually do a split base more often than not. So 25ml, for example, of a whiskey, 25ml of amaretto. But it's up to you. And you've got various other kind of ingredients you want, vodka sours even, that you want to throw in there. Now, as these sort of starter videos are gearing towards putting my whole business together, the whole 3 aspects of my business together, then I kind of gear the ingredients towards drink stuff and that kind of mass market approach, okay? But I'll talk you through the kind of alternatives, be obvious to a lot of you. So we start off with the lemon juice. I love this stuff. I've got the lime juice as well. Long life, shelf stable. It is as near as damn it to fresh. It is juiced within a couple of hours of being picked, as opposed to being your lemon that's been sat in cold storage and on shipments for God knows however long. Basically got a tiny bit of antioxidant in it to keep it long life and shelf stable, exactly the same as every single bottle of wine has. So don't be poo-pooing that. That is as near as damn it fresh lemon juice, and it tastes really, really good as well. We then got some sugar syrup. I've got Mon in here for that, and then the bitters and the kind of foaming agent. Now, obviously, for the vast majority, you're going to go Angostura bitters. Of course you are. I've got Stillabunt here behind me. They are an Italian brand, same as ODK. They're non-alcoholic. So the Viginti Unus is what I would personally class as more of the aromatic bitters, 21 herbs and spices in there. So I kind of use them. And then we go for the foamer. Now, there's a few routes we could go there. Egg white is the obvious one. Not many people want to use egg white these days. So here at Drink Stuff, we've got the Magic Velvet foamers, 6 to 8 drops of those. Nets out to anywhere between 12 and 15p per cocktail. It's dirt cheap. I will tell you something though, my cocktail masterclasses, because I like to mimic, you know, this would probably be, people at home, probably not the ingredient for them. This is more, for me personally, it's more geared towards pubs and bars. That sort of stuff we can get in most supermarkets here, and that's just chickpea juice, okay, aquafaba. So, you know, you've got various different alternatives. Drink Stuff don't sell that, but they do sell the Miracle Foamers. Now, to actually make the cocktail, you're going to want 50ml of your whiskey of choice, 25ml of lemon juice, 15 ml, 1.5 of sugar. I'm going for 10 drops of the Viginti Unus bitters. And then we're going for 6 drops of the Miraculous foamers. Then you could obviously double strain this into a martini or a coupe glass, but I'm just going over ice into a double old-fashioned glass. And to garnish, we've got a dried orange from Frona and obviously a maraschino cherry. Now that is absolutely delicious. Why I don't make more sours, I don't know. Beautifully balanced. It's got that little bit of sweetness to balance out the sharpness from the citrus, from the lemon juice. For a non-whiskey drinker, I should do really, really like that. You know, and the bitters just come out to play there. You have got that sort of lovely sort of foamy sort of texture. The big difference between foamers and like an aquafaba and egg white. Aquafaba and egg white are going to give you the silky smooth texture within the cocktail and the foam, whereas the foamers are just going to give you the foam. Now then, many of you know my angle when it comes to cocktails. Not only am I about fat-free, long life and shelf stable, but I also want to provide inspiration, hints and tips to help pubs and bars in the UK stand out from their competition. And I keep saying that in all the videos, but what do I mean? Try and get this across to people, because I've had a few questions now, is that, you know, if every bar, if every pub served a whiskey sour, for example, in this video, life would be pretty boring. You'd go from bar to bar and you'd just see a whiskey sour. The fun as a customer, from a customer's point of view, is going to different bars to get different experiences. Now, you know, my philosophy, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to come up with your own cocktails. Using those cocktails that already exist, like the whiskey sour, you can put your own like inspiration, your own riffs on it to kind of keep the customer, give your customers a little bit of excitement when they're coming out for a night out. So a lot of my videos these days are all about like giving you little riffs, little tweaks, ideas and inspiration about putting your own little tweaks on cocktails to help you generate more sales, get more money in your tills, attract more customers to your bar. So with that, as you can see, I've made 5 more whiskey sours. I'll talk you through what they are in a second. Simple 1 ingredient tweaks. Which one of these 5 would I put on a cocktail menu over the classic whiskey sour? Now, before we dive in and have a little taste, let me just run you through very, very quickly what I've done. The full recipes will be in a description below, so go and have a look down there. By the way, that's the quickest way to cane half a bottle of whiskey. As I said at the top, I'm going to be needing those suggestions for different whiskies very, very soon. Or have I done well? I really like the original, to be fair, with this. So the first old-fashioned on this side, I've just called it the Oaky Smoky. I've swapped out the aromatic bitters for Stillabunt Oak Smoke bitters. So just 10 drops, complete swap, and just kind of give it that smoky feel. Because people do like smoked cocktails, but if you're in like a, you know, not a typical bar in the UK, you don't want to go down the realms of smoking and getting like chopping boards out and smoking rosemary or whatever you're going to do, smoking bits of wood to make that. So we've got oak smoke bitters. Now, the second riff I've done, I wanted to go for a cherry kind of riff. So again, I've just swapped the bitters, and these are the Unde Viginti, and the big bold flavour notes of these are cherry. Now, there is obviously another way you can go for this. You could swap out your morning sugar syrup for a cherry syrup. Okay, that would have been the obvious way, but I wanted to put these bitters to the test. And then I should have kept that out. The third one, I've gone for a simple syrup swap. So instead of the syrup, so we've got the Viginti Unus bitters, the aromatic bitters, these ones in there still. So we've got the original in there. I've just swapped the sugar for Real's pumpkin syrup. The fourth riff, I've swapped out the aromatic bitters for honey bitters. So we've got a honey sour, if you like. And then the fifth riff, as the pumpkin, I've swapped out the Monin sugar syrup for passion fruit puree. Does a passion fruit whiskey sour work? Right, just a refresher to remind me what the original tastes like. Let's go for this Oaky Smoky. How does this taste? I prefer the original simply because I'm not a huge sort of smoke fan. Smoked whiskies. But that's telling you something, because those bitters really do come out in a smoky way. I think what that actually might lack is that kind of aromatic bitter vibe in there. You could also add some of those aromatic bitters in there. That's absolutely fine. So to answer the question, does this taste like a smoked whiskey sour? Yes, it flipping does. And that's probably half the reason why I'm not a fan. But I know it's a big, big seller. So this is going to work a treat. Now for the second riff, this is much more on my wavelength. I really like this. So this is the Unde Viginti bitters. Those ones sort of cherry forward notes on there. You get a lovely cherry consistency. And this is, I think when I do cocktails sometimes with syrups, like swapping syrup over, sometimes they could be too cloying, too sweet. I really love these bitters because they add that flavour without sort of detracting away from just your classic sort of sweetness level of a 2-to-1 syrup. Cherry bitters, amazing. This whiskey cherry, that really stands out. I'm preferring this one to the original so far. Now, I've got to say, that surprised me. I really like that. Pumpkin sour. That is very, very good. I'm not a huge pumpkin fan, but the whole reason I put this in is coming up for autumn. You know, and you're going to have these sort of flavours lying around your bars, you know, like pumpkin spice, like PSL, pumpkin spice lattes. You know, they're huge in the UK from basically the end of August, September, October, November. So the chances are you're going to have a lot of pumpkin. Pumpkin syrup in a whiskey sour, that is fantastic. I love that. Now, this fourth one's a bit of a surprise for me. I love honey. I really, really do. But that, for me, doesn't work. Doesn't work in the same way the cherry works. So remember, just to recap, all I've done is swap the aromatic bitters for honey bitters. And that one was swapping the aromatic bitters for cherry bitters. That cherry completely surpasses that for honey. I love honey and rum, but perhaps it's honey and whiskey that I don't really do. I don't really like the penicillin cocktail, but then 9 times out of 10 it's made with a smoky whiskey anyway. Like a big, bold Islay whiskey. Yeah, I'm not doing this one, to be fair. And that one for me might have been better, actually, swapping the Monin for Monin's honey syrup. That might have been the better route for that. And then the passion fruit, just swapping the Monin for the passion fruit. That's a little bit too tart for me. The winner, by landslide, is that pumpkin. That is flipping amazing. I would have absolutely no hesitations putting that on a menu. That's gorgeous. Now, before I dive off and make another video, don't forget 2 things. Let me know if your whiskey of choice that I should be buying, should be stocking behind here. And if you've got any whiskey sour riffs, what would you do? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your favourite whiskey sours. I'll see you next time.